we come to diet guidelines. What foods, what vegetables, what grains I have been eating to keep myself healthy. So before I say what I eat and what I don't, I thought I should stress about digestive fire very quickly here, because digestive fire is the root cause of any disease, health, and longevity in life. So anything we aspire for, any desire we have, anything that is bestowed in our life is the result of our digestion, is what Ayurvedic texts tell us. So it is that powerful. So the foundation of Ayurveda is keep your digestive fire optimized. So Agni is the Sanskrit word. So it is the metabolic fire of our digestion. So the digestion starts with our eyes, is what Ayurveda says. The moment we look at the food, and when you look at really yummy, your favorite dish, you start naturally salivating. Have you observed that? And that's the digestion process has already begun when we salivate. So Ayurveda always stresses to make your food pleasing. It should look attractive to your eyes, so that when the eyes look at the food, it should say, yes, I'm hungry, I need to eat this. You can't keep it boring, you can't keep it dull and dry. So the digestion starts with our eyes, and digestion is very, very sensitive, the process. It will turn on or off the moment it sees the food. So making it very appealing is very important. And also the taste, they have to come together synergistically. Like when I was working in IT, I had a co-worker who used to have like an apple and a nutrition bar. They both don't work. So when you're eating apple and then you eat nutrition bar, the saliva production is very, very minimal inside the mouth. So the rule is you have to eat foods where you secrete more saliva. It has to come together synergistically. So when you are chewing the food, your saliva should make it, it should excite your taste buds so that it secretes more saliva. And when the saliva secretion is enough in the mouth, it gives the signal to the digestion to secrete the right enzymes. And if the taste buds are not excited, we don't have the right digestive enzymes in the digestion when the food reaches the stomach. So that is really key, is to make sure your food looks good. It also tastes good. It's very, very important. It should come together synergistically. Ayurveda strongly emphasizes don't count calories, count prana in your food. So it strongly emphasizes on eating fresh food, freshly cooked food. The best food with high prana is if you eat that food within 30 minutes of your cooking, that has the optimum prana in the dish. So when you consume more prana, you will keep yourself naturally healthy, because the tejas, the ojas, and the prana is residing inside you, and that keeps you healthy, builds the strong immune system. So the secret for optimum digestion is eat high prana foods, freshly cooked and seasonal, and I always emphasize eat organic. That makes a huge difference. And instead of counting carbs, proteins, fats, count high prana is what Ayurveda says. How much fresh you eat makes you alive and healthy inside and out. So quickly, I wanted to show you what is the science of eating. I go way deep into this subject. I also do Ayurveda certification courses, and in that we talk about digestion, we talk about how all this works. But here, very high level, I wanted to tell you about 6 rasas. So there are 6 tastes in Ayurveda: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, astringent. So when when any food you put in the mouth, the taste buds recognize, is it sweet, is it sour, is it bitter, pungent, what taste are you eating? And then there is energetics of food. So every food has energetics according to Ayurveda. Either that food is heating, it is cooling, or it's neutral. Like for example, let's take tomatoes. Tomatoes are energetically heating. So if you study Ayurveda, you know, like if you're Pitta dominant, you will limit or avoid tomatoes during the hot summer season, especially the Arizona summer. So every food you take has energetics associated with it. So in summer, Ayurveda says eat energetically cooling food. That does not mean temperature wise cooling. It means, like, let's say, yams, cruciferous veggies like cauliflower, cabbage, they are energetically cooling. So that helps Pitta during the summer season. But if you eat spinach or mustard greens, they are energetically heating, and that creates more heat in the body. And vipaka is the post-digestive effect. So every food we taste, every food we eat has an energetics, but after we digest it, there is a post-digestive effect which is very important. And if the post-digestive effect vipaka is sweet, then it keeps you cool. If it is sour and pungent, then it has increased the heat in your body. So during this time, to keep ourselves healthy, keep our respiratory healthy, keep our immune system strong, and for this kapha season, it's best to eat foods that have sour and pungent post-digestive effect because it's energetically heating for the body. We need to keep the temperature a little high so that the digestive fire is strong and optimum to attack any virus or any foreign body attacking our body. So energetically heating foods is good to eat during that time. Not very heating, but heating foods. And taste-wise, we should prefer more of the pungent, bitter, and astringent foods to keep the kapha in balance. So here is the 6 taste chart. Sweet, sour, salty, pungent, astringent, bitter are the 6 tastes that Ayurveda promote to tell us to eat balanced and nutritious meal. So before the food pyramid or the recommended daily allowance came into being, Ayurveda, for more than 5,000 years ago, has emphasized to include all these 6 tastes in every meal so that you get a nutritiously balanced food in your diet. So what these 6 tastes do is sweet, sour, salty balances vata, pungent, astringent, bitter balances the kapha. That's why I said in the spring season we should eat more of pungent, astringent, bitter. And pitta should say sweet, bitter, and astringent balances pitta dosha. So we should include all 6 tastes in a meal, but depending on the season and depending on our dosha constitution, we should increase 3 of the tastes and reduce 3 of the taste. So when I say in this kapha season, in the spring season, eat more of pungent, astringent, bitter, you should also include a little bit of sweet, sour, salty in your meals, but dominant portion should be coming from the tastes of pungent, astringent, and bitter foods. So these 6 tastes, the sweet is the taste that helps in ingestion. So when we put the food in our mouth and we are chewing it, no matter what kind of food you're eating, it ultimately makes it sweet with the saliva secretion and all. And when it hits our stomach, the taste that is predominant is sour and salty. And when the assimilation process starts, the taste becomes pungent and bitter. And the last, when the food is digested and then it goes, the undigested food goes through the colon for excretion, the taste becomes astringent. So this is how the 6 states are important, especially when people have a lot of constipation, dry stools, IBS. I always recommend eating more of astringent food, because astringent foods helps to eliminate stuff from the body that is not needed. And if people have malnutrition issues, you should include more of the pungent bitter foods, because that helps to absorb all the nutrients in the body. So I hope this helps. And the 6 states, this is again, these all slides are coming from my Ayurveda certification courses. But briefly, what does these do? Sweet builds tissues, they calm the nerves, especially when we are nervous and we have a lot of anxiousness. The mind is restless, especially Vata mind gets restless. I always recommend eat some dates. It will calm you, it will calm the nervous system. So hearing news, getting nervous, include a little bit of sweet, even though it is a spring season. That helps to calm the nervous system. Bitter, we'll be eating a lot of bitter during the season, and bitter is energetically cooling by nature, but it is helpful to detox our liver, our kidneys, and very beneficial for our immune system. So this is what the 6 states does. One important thing I need to let everyone know for this time is, please don't do any kind of spring detox, because spring detox compromises our digestive Agni. When we do some kind of detox, I have seen people doing a juice diet, doing all sorts of really aggressive detox during the spring. It is good if it was a normal condition, but right now we are all focusing on building a strong immune system to keep us healthy. And any kind of detox, when the toxins are going out of the body, the digestive fire is naturally compromised. So we don't want to compromise our digestive Agni during this time. So please don't do any kind of spring detox this year. You can always do it next time or end of the year. Now we come to the Ayurveda spices. Spices are really, really important on Ayurveda, because they not only enhance the flavor, I just told you, taste is very important. That is one of the first step after we look at the food. It has to taste good for the digestive system to kickstart. So to make it tasty, the spices play a crucial role. And once the food is tasty, the enzymes are secreted well, and the digestive fire is optimum to digest the food. So the basic ones that you can use is cumin, coriander seeds, and mustard seeds. Mustard seeds are really good. Mustard seeds are very energetically heating, but they help to get rid of mucus. So I include mustard seeds in my daily cooking. So you can use cumin powder, mustard seeds powder, coriander seed powder mix, and use it in any of your savory dishes, or you can use them as their whole. You just have to saute them in a base of oil. Black pepper is also good. Another herb, spice I like to recommend is asafoetida. It is also called as hing, and that also helps to keep our vata and kapha in balance. And especially in India, certain sections of people don't eat onion and garlic because they are tamasic by nature. So they include asafoetida in their cooking, because that gives that, you can call asafoetida has that umami flavor, and you even if you don't put onion and garlic, it still makes the dish tasty. So there's a bunch of benefits on hing. In fact, I did a podcast on hing asafoetida. If you want, you can listen to it. It is on my podcast, Dosha Karma Dharma. I think there is a slide at the end. I can let you know on that. And turmeric, as all of us know, is amazing. Antibacterial, antiviral, and has tons and tons of benefits. One thing I would say is, when you cook any savory dish, put turmeric at the end after you switch off the gas, switch off the heat. Don't really cook the turmeric. If you really want to maximize the benefit of turmeric, always add it at the end. I add it after switching off the gas and mix it in my curry dishes or any savory dishes. And also, turmeric is bioavailable only when It is mixed with some sort of fat and some sort of heat, like black pepper and olive oil. Put turmeric, you will immediately absorb all the benefits of turmeric, because turmeric is fat soluble, and that's the reason Ayurveda says that's the best way to absorb turmeric in the body. So try to use it after switching off the gas. And using raw turmeric is not that beneficial except mixed with Ayurvedic herbs. It can work mixing it with honey and herbs. It does help, but 100% absorption happens when you mix it with fat and some sort of heat like black pepper. And I have been using a lot of garlic and ginger in my diet. Classical Ayurveda people really don't use garlic. As you know, it is tamasic and also quite rajasic. But garlic has 5 of the 6 tastes that I just told you, except salt. All the other 5 tastes are quite dominant in garlic: sour, salty, bitter, pungent. So it is very beneficial to keep our immune system healthy. So I include it. And ginger, as you all know, is very healthy. Making ginger tea is good, but I use ginger and garlic in my cooking as well. But I recommend fresh, not like powdered or dehydrated spices. Fresh is the best. And here I have garlic pickle I just recently made. I generally don't make garlic pickle. I make pickles out of lime because I'm a pitta dominant person and garlic is quite heating. But to keep myself healthy during this time, I have made garlic pickle, and this is really, really yum. I've made it using all the coriander, cumin. I've put asafoetida in it. I've put trikatu in it. I've put Ayurveda herbs, hingashtaka in it. So this also helps to keep your respiration healthy. And when you eat this garlic, you'll immediately secrete a lot of saliva. And that's a good thing because that helps for digestion. But pickle should be eaten very less. It is like a condiment. Don't make it a main dish. Now coming to veggies, I have been including kapha pacifying veggies because these are the cruciferous veggies that remove excess mucus from the body, and being astringent in taste, they help to shed excess weight as well. So all the cruciferous veggie families, Brussels sprout, cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, are all good during this time, but I would emphasize eat them cooked and not raw, please. Please add them cooked. Don't eat raw because that will imbalance vata big time. And asparagus is also very good. Use them in any savory dishes, use them in any soups. And French beans, the long beans, those are my favorite. All these high nutritious veggies keep the mucus in control and also builds our immune system. So eating these kind of veggies, and then you also feel full and satiated because you don't feel hungry that much. Cruciferous veggies are also high in fiber and high in nutrition, so that keeps you full for pretty long time. You don't have to snack often, and it's also good for excretion. So overall, cruciferous veggies are good to incorporate during this time. This is Brussels sprouts curry I just made last week. I just clicked a photo. It's really yum. I just use cumin, coriander, spices, and a little bit of chili powder. Add some lime juice and then saute it well. And it tastes really yum. And there is no lot of, when you cook Brussels sprout, you don't taste that much bitter. And it's quite doable. There's another vegetable called bitter gourd, called as Karela in Indian language, and that is super bitter. No matter how much you cook, no matter how much you try to remove the bitterness, it is super bitter. But Brussels sprouts is quite forgiving. I also include a lot of greens. I bring cilantro, mint, dandelion greens, kale. Then amaranth leaves are really good, but you don't get them in like Whole Foods or Sprouts. I get them in Indian grocery stores. And amaranth greens are really, really good as they're high in iron, protein. So I use a lot of greens during this time and just saute them like spinach, saute them in some little bit of olive oil or mustard oil and add a little bit of garlic. Crush the garlic and add, and it tastes so yum. I also include a small glass of green juice every day, and I emphasize small glass like 4 ounce or 6 ounce, not even 8 ounce, because if we drink a lot of green juice, since it is dry and kind of airy, it does imbalance vata. So we have to make sure the vata is also balanced during kapha season. So I do include green juice, but it should be in small quantity, and best time to have it is before lunch, like 30 to 40 minutes before lunch, have a glass of juice. I would not recommend having it in the evening because as the day goes later in the day, the digestive enzymes are low, and anything when you eat raw, you need strong digestive enzymes to digest it. So have green juice, but have it in small quantities and preferably before lunch. Now coming to beans and legumes. These are the beans and legumes I have stocked up. This is also good for planning since all the grocery stores are wiped out with everything now. So stock up on your mung beans. This is called as brown chana. It is like brown chickpeas and moong dal. Very, very good beans for balancing kapha, removing mucus, and helping to keep strong immune system. Again, I boil them in pressure cooker. I soak them overnight and boil them in pressure cooker and use them in any savory dishes. But these are really the best beans and to have for the kapha season. And you can buy them on Amazon, or you can go to an Asian grocery store. And I would strongly recommend buying organic so there's no chemical and pesticides in it. And they don't spoil. You can stock beans and legumes for even a whole year if you want to in your pantry. And I also use quinoa in moderation during this time. Amaranth is what I really, really like. So I cook it just like I cook quinoa, but I think amaranth is far better than quinoa. Quinoa, if I eat too much, I have seen I do see some mucus build up with quinoa, but I don't see it with amaranth. Then I also include different kinds of millet. Especially in India, you get so many different kinds of millet. So I had been to India last June and I got some millets from there. And these are really ancient heirloom millets. So they have not been genetically modified and things like that. And I use kidney beans, all organic. And millets are gluten-free as well. So they really help. Gluten-free dough doesn't create any mucus. So going gluten-free during this time is also beneficial provided your body constitution agrees with it. Like if you're vata dominant and you eat only gluten-free produce, you will be way off in your vata. So gluten creates more airiness, more dryness in your body, and vata is dry and airy by nature. So except for vata, pitta and kapha do very well with gluten-free. So when we mix beans and legumes in our diet, one fat I always recommend is ghee, which is also called as clarified butter. And I like to make it at home. It's when you make ghee at home, you'll never buy it in the store. And the brand I have been using for many years is the Organic Valley unsalted butter. The reason I use Organic Valley is if you want to make authentic Ayurveda ghee, it has to be made with cultured unsalted butter. And as far as I know, the organic cultured butter in the US, only Organic Valley sells it. So that's the reason I use it, and I pay full price. Again, this is not marketing or referring any product. This is what I honestly use, and and I pay for all the products. So ghee is very beneficial when you use beans, legumes, especially for Vata dominant people. If you have gas, bloating when you are eating beans, make sure you cook it in ghee and also add asafoetida to it. So you will notice there is less bloating or no bloating or any gas issues if you use asafoetida or ghee. So try it, and most of my clients have benefited from it. And for grains, again, I use quinoa. I mean, it's really not a grain, it's a pseudo grain. But I use quick oats, amaranth. For breakfast, I do make some quick oat savory pancakes and have them instead of having bread. Amaranth is also very good in making breads. And organic suji is semolina, but it's a very fine grained semolina where you can make like a cream of wheat is what it is. You can make cream of wheat porridge. So these are good for breakfast items like making pancakes or porridge. Again, good for kapha. And for flours, I use spelt flour. I really don't use any wheat flour at home. After I got healed from hypothyroidism, I had been completely gluten-free and vegan during my hypothyroidism phase. But now I've brought gluten back, and I'm also not 100% vegan. But I do eat wheat once in a while, but I generally eat spelt flour, the organic sprouted spelt flour. So these are the brands I personally use. That's why I just clicked a photo keeping them on my countertop. And jawar flour is sorghum flour with that blue clip. That is also very good. I mix it with my spelt flour and make homemade breads. These all are high fiber, high nutrition grains, but they don't create excess mucus. Wheat is a mucus creating flour. So in a way, it is good to limit or avoid wheat for at least few months during this time. Spelt is okay because it's like an ancient grain, and I don't build mucus with spelt, but I do if I eat wheat every day. And I also do multi-grain atta, like I put different grains and mix it with spelt flour. It's like quinoa, amaranth. You can put spelt in it. You can put amaranth grain, quinoa grain, sorghum flour. So I mix and match and make my own breads. Another thing I also like is ragi. Ragi is also millet, but it's finger millet. It's energetically cooling, but very, very high in iron and protein. So I also make breads with that. If there's too much garlic, too much ginger, too much heating spices going into my body, then I also do breads with finger millet that cools my pitta. So here is some photo that I had done randomly. Maybe this came from my Facebook page, so it's been a few months old. So you can make like paratha or a flat bread with these grains. So be very creative, and it also stocks well in your pantry. So buy flour so that you can make your own bread. Because yesterday my husband was saying when the bread is gone out of are all sold out in grocery stores. There's nothing remaining on the shelves anymore with all the panic and anxiety. So when we buy flours, we can make our own bread, and it's so healthy and so fresh and full of prana. So they stock well in pantries. So stock them up anyways, not just during this time of coronavirus scare, but any time of the year they stock well. This is a gluten-free bread again. I love making. This is made with quinoa and mung beans. And I just grind the quinoa. I soak the quinoa and mung beans for at least 4 to 6 hours, and then I grind it in my Vitamix and make like a pancake batter. You can make it savory, throwing in cumin, coriander. You can add some onions, put some garlic and ginger. So you use your creativity and make a savory bread and eat. And savory breads are good for digestion during this time than sweet breads. As I said, the sweet taste is heavy to digest, and also sweet builds more mucus. So when you eat savory, you're thinning out the mucus and expelling it out. So quinoa and monk bread is also something amazing you can make. They take like 15 to 20 minutes to make, fairly easy, as long as you have a skillet and a good blender at home. Planning. This is another thing classical Ayurveda says is don't be a fanatic. Be flexible to the changing times. My freezer used to remain empty all year round. The only thing you'll find in my freezer is waffles and frozen peas. My husband loves to eat waffles, and I stock up with organic peas. But this time, I have stocked up with other foods like burgers, and pita breads, frozen veggies, just in case we need it. So this planning is also important. I mean, you don't have to be an Ayurvedic fanatic and say, I won't eat frozen foods. You have to change with the changing times. So this is a good safety net, because already all the grocery stores, there's nothing remaining on the shelf. It feels scary if you hear the news, but it's good to plan and use our common sense. So I have stocked few things in my freezer. So in summary for the diet, avoid and limit on nuts. So anything high fat will increase kapha. So I generally don't eat a whole lot of nuts during spring season anyway, because they do build a lot of mucus. And in fruit wise, I avoid bananas or any heavy fruits, but you could include organic strawberries, blueberries, oranges are good. You can have them in juices as well, but not frozen fruits, but fresh as much. Avoid or limit on dairy and fat. Again, they are big mucus builders, but ghee is good. And for fat, I would say olive oil is okay, but if you really have excess mucus buildup, you can use sesame oil or mustard oil. I would recommend cold press organic unrefined for cooking, and include lots of astringent tasting beans and legumes that we just saw in the slides. They fill us up, they have good protein sources, and they keep us healthy and fit. You don't feel the lethargy and the heaviness that we feel in the spring season if we include a lot of beans and legumes. And if you have any gas or constipation problem, try to use that as a asafoetida and cook the beans with ghee and see there, you might see the difference. And limit on breads, as I said, especially store-bought breads. You can make your own bread. The savory breads I was talking about, they taste really yum. And once you start eating those, your taste buds get refined and you would not want to touch those store-bought breads. Because once the taste buds are refined, they will force you to eat high prana, home-cooked fresh meals. So refining the taste buds is all what is Ayurveda about, honestly.